This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw in New York, Roger Mudd in Washington, and commentary by John Chancellor.
Good evening. John Hinckley Jr., not guilty by reason of insanity, now says he feels no remorse for shooting President Reagan. In a telephone interview he initiated with a Washington Post reporter who had covered his trial, Hinckley also said he was pleased with his quarters at the mental hospital. They call me Mr. Hinckley, he said. Here's Carl Stern.
When Hinckley was taken by helicopter behind the walls of St. Elizabeth's Mental Hospital, he did not lose his appetite for public attention. In 4 telephone calls over the weekend to the Washington Post, the newspaper reported today that Hinckley said he was not sorry he shot the president and a Secret Service agent, and was shocked that the jury accepted the insanity defense. Said Hinckley of Reagan, "I helped his presidency. After I shot him, his polls went up 20%. Hinckley said he likes it so far at St. Elizabeth's, that people asked for his autograph, that he won 3 candy bars playing bingo. He said as soon as doctors determine he is well, I'm going to walk out the door whether the public likes it or not. His first sanity hearing is scheduled for August 9th. Hinckley said he no longer considers himself dangerous, except perhaps to Jodie Foster. He said he is permitted to have a picture of her in his room. He said when he shot the president, he did it to turn Jodie Foster's life upside down. Hinckley said he was sorry for the suffering he caused James Brady. He said, I just honestly wish I could go back before that shooting and let him move 2 inches out of the way. Hinckley said in the courtroom he was so sure of a guilty verdict that he had prepared a 4-page speech. In it he wrote, I love my parents and Jodie Foster so much that I have this compulsion to destroy them. My assassination attempt was an act of love. Carl Stern, NBC News, Washington.
Both Hinckley's lawyer and the people at St. Elizabeth's now say Hinckley's use of the telephone will be strictly supervised. And the George Washington University Hospital said today James Brady checked back in for treatment of blood clots, which is a common problem for people with limited mobility. Tom?
San Francisco's new law making it illegal to own most handguns is getting a divided reaction. The law, which was signed last night, doesn't go into effect for 30 days, and by then opponents hope to beat it in court. More from Mark Nycanen.
And this is the first time.
When Mayor Dianne Feinstein signed the new law, San Francisco became the first large American city to try to ban handguns. Stores will not be permitted to sell them. Most citizens will not be permitted to own them. Violators could be punished by 30 days in jail and a $500 fine. Feinstein, whose predecessor as mayor was killed by a handgun, says the law is long overdue.
Said we have had enough of the death, dismemberment, and desecration of our society from the handgun.
But the law's constitutionality is being questioned. District Attorney Arlo Smith says state law prohibits cities like San Francisco from passing such laws.
Well, if I'm correct, the net effect is 0.
Smith says he won't prosecute violators unless the courts rule the law is constitutional. This morning, an anti-gun control group promised it would challenge the new law in court.
We are going to do everything we can to stop this nonsense of an ordinance that takes away handguns from the innocent citizen and makes him an outlaw.
Contributions from gun control opponents are increasing. Citizen opinion of the new law is divided.
I think it's an excellent idea. I'm very pleased that handguns are being banned.
I feel the mayor is wrong. I think the only people who are going to have guns are outlaws.
The new law is supposed to go into effect in 30 days. Then gun owners will have a 3-month grace period to dispose of their weapons. But opponents say their lawsuit will stop the handgun ban from ever taking effect. Mark Nycanen, NBC News, San Francisco.
And in Italy, 7 members of the Italian police team that rescued American General James Dozier have been arrested on charges they mistreated their prisoners, including some who were picked up in the Dozier investigation. One of the prisoners said that he was beaten repeatedly and given electric shock treatments.
Are you a saltaholic? Do you think most everything needs salt? Then you're a saltaholic. Like most Americans, you eat more than 20 times the salt your body needs. Now, with new No Salt, you can have the flavor of salt without salt. No Salt tastes like salt, but there's no salt in No Salt. You can shake No Salt, cook with No Salt, No Salt, and shake the salt habit.
How do the vitamins in these cereals compare with totals?
I don't know.
This shield shows Total has 100% of a day's allowance of 9 vitamins and iron.
Okay.
Put Total Shield on your cereal to compare vitamins.
I eat grape nuts. 25%. Total's a lot higher. But how's it taste?
Crisp flakes of whole grain wheat. And 100% of 9 vitamins. That's the total difference.
Israeli Prime Minister Begin and Defense Minister Sharon warned the PLO again today to get out of Lebanon or else. Their threats came during a lively Knesset debate on Israel's policies in Lebanon. Bob Kerr now from Jerusalem.
In his speech, Prime Minister Begin said Israel won't let the PLO stay in Lebanon under any circumstances. He warned civilians in West Beirut to leave quickly. He said Israel won't withdraw as part of a deal to get the PLO out, and said the terrorists would be gone in a day or two. The Knesset was packed during today's debate. For many Israelis, the Lebanon operation has become a topic of great controversy. Defense Minister Ariel Sharon said it's the moment of truth for the PLO, that Israeli forces are prepared to wipe out the terrorists in West Beirut. That prompted a communist Knesset member to call Sharon a war criminal, the biggest terrorist of all. It was difficult to restore order. When Sharon resumed, he said Israel is the victim of misleading reports, poisonous and vicious propaganda. The Prime Minister liked his remarks. The opposition leader, Shimon Peres, was less enthusiastic. We don't have to enter West Beirut, he said, and we should not, adding, our forces should protect Israel, not police the Middle East. Later, Peres said hurting the PLO does not solve the problem. Tonight, Israeli TV showed 4 soldiers back from the war. All questioned whether it was necessary to go all the way to Beirut. But there's no widespread protest yet. In fact, a few hundred people supporting the war demonstrated at the Knesset today. Attention here now is on West Beirut, on what will happen next. Top Israeli officials are beginning to believe the PLO is stalling for time. Something Israeli leaders continue to insist is quickly running out for the PLO. Bob Kerr, NBC News, at the Israeli Knesset.
While Tel Aviv debates, Beirut waits. Today, it's still a city under siege, although the siege is more psychological than military. Jack Reynolds reports.
Beirut, 4 days into the ceasefire. The Israelis still dug in at the end of the airport runway, refusing the Palestinians' demand that they pull back before the PLO will lay down its arms. Israeli armor now controls most of the Beirut-Damascus highway, cutting off any hope of escape for those PLO and Syrians still trapped in West Beirut.
West Beirut these days is mostly a city of destroyed buildings, deserted streets, and a kind of eerie silence.
For the second day in a row, Israeli jets dropped leaflets urging all civilians to get out of West Beirut while they could. The Israelis are applying psychological pressure, and it's working. People are fleeing. Those that remain line up for food. Uncollected garbage burns in the street. Electric power is out in many places. There's little water.
We find many difficulties to fill our tanks with water. And many times, when we have a rush or have many fires, we are obliged to go to seaside to fill our tanks from the sea.
The PLO have said that West Beirut is their Stalingrad. Many parts of this city have that look. Diplomatic efforts to end this conflict center around how to disarm the 5,000 to 6,000 remaining Palestinians and Syrians, and where they'll go if that's accomplished. The disarming will probably fall to the Lebanese army, up till now rendered powerless by the presence of so many Syrians and PLO. If the disarming takes place, it's not likely that the PLO will agree to march out on the Beirut-Damascus highway under Israeli guns. So the most likely route is by sea to northern Lebanon, or possibly to Egypt. While the negotiations go on behind the scenes, West Beirut waits, worries, and simply tries to survive. Jack Reynolds, NBC News.
Jack Reynolds would have said, Jack Reynolds, NBC News, West Beirut, but the words West Beirut were inexplicably removed by the Israeli censors. Marvin Kalb reports from the State Department tonight that a kind of agreement in principle allowing the PLO to disarm and leave Beirut has been reached, and that negotiations are at a crucial stage. Senior State Department officials say that Presidential Envoy Philip Habib has about 48 hours to complete negotiations on how many Palestinians will disarm, to what extent they will disarm, where they will go, and how they will get there.
Something wrong, Mrs. Phelps?
Oh, off day, I guess.
Constipation?
And my laxative just...
Did you think of X-Lax? Give me your hand.
Well, that's not the X-Lax I know.
That's the X-Lax pill. We call it the overnight wonder, because X-Lax gently restores your system's own natural rhythm.
So in the morning...
You're back on the bright side, because pills or chocolated, X-Lax is the overnight wonder.
One little pill.
One little X-Lax pill.
Arthritis pain sufferers. Do you know millions of you can take aspirin, even if your stomach is aspirin sensitive, because there's Ecotrin. Look, Ecotrin is not the aspirin substitute. It's aspirin. But Ecotrin helps protect you from aspirin stomach upset with this orange safety coating. Now you can take what doctors recommend most for minor pain, aspirin, but without all aspirin stomach upset. Ecotrin, it's strong. It's orange.
Get a feel for cotton in these specially blended sheets. The way it breathes to keep you cool. The way it practically takes care of itself. The way it touches your life. Nothing else feels like cotton. And nothing else makes you feel like this. Get a feel for these Comfort Gale Natural Blend Sheets by Canon. Once you get a feel for cotton, you won't feel like anything else.
President Reagan today signed a 25-year extension of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. The president, who originally favored only a 10-year extension and came late to endorse this version, had nothing but praise for it today.
The right to vote is the crown jewel of American liberties, and we will not see its luster diminished.
The bill signing ceremony, moved indoors because of the threat of rain, was witnessed by some of the president's severest critics, black civil rights leaders and Democratic Senator Edward Kennedy. Labor Secretary Raymond Donovan may think the special prosecutor's report vindicates him, but as yet the President of the United States has not agreed. During one 3-hour stretch today, the White House issued 3 different versions of where Donovan stood with the President. Tonight, he is still waiting. James Polk reports.
Donovan toured the morning TV news shows trying to defend his reputation and his job.
I have been damaged by these allegations through these months. Well, I'd like to put it this way. If they touched my reputation, they strengthened my character. I think I have been and will continue to be a very effective labor secretary.
But Donovan conceded he'll stay only as long as President Reagan wants him. Back at his job, a White House aide phoned with congratulations after the weeks of doubt.
No, I'd kid you if I didn't say it wasn't rough.
There was still doubt whether Donovan could recover politically.
Yeah, you're leaving again at 10:45.
President at 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan rode to the White House for a cabinet-level national security meeting with President Reagan. When White House spokesman Larry Speakes was asked whether Donovan will stay on, Speakes would only say he's here today. Speakes said yes, President Reagan is withholding judgment, then tried to back away from that answer. At the end of the day, the White House had yet to issue a promised endorsement of Donovan. Aides now say President Reagan will make a strong statement of support sometime tomorrow. James Polk, NBC News, Washington.
Contrary to what we reported last night, the special prosecutor in the Donovan case, Leon Silverman, says his law firm is absorbing about $500,000 in legal costs figured at the firm's regular rates. Silverman himself is being paid at the rate set by the special prosecutor's law, $192 a day. Tom?
The START talks started in Geneva today when American and Soviet negotiators met in a renewed effort to roll back the nuclear arms race. John Cochran is in Geneva.
Two old adversaries, Edward Rowney for the Americans, Viktor Karpov for the Soviets. Both men veterans of the old SALT talks. Rowney and Karpov can speak to one another in either Russian or English.
Sun shining.
Whether they will speak the same language on arms reductions is anybody's guess. They start far apart. Here is the Soviet proposal. Freeze all nuclear weapons now. President Reagan's response, no, that would just freeze the United States into what Reagan claims is a position of inferiority. Here is President Reagan's proposal. Reduce all nuclear warheads by 1/3. Permit only half of the remaining warheads to be land-based, which are more accurate than those launched from submarines. The Soviet response? No, that's just a plot to eliminate Moscow's edge in land-based missiles. So Edward Rowney has a tough selling job, especially if the Soviets sense any confusion or weakness stemming from Secretary of State Haig's resignation. The Soviets also hope the American and West European peace movements will put pressure on the United States to make a deal.
There's no doubt that the Soviets look over my shoulder. We have a constituency. We're a democracy. They have an entirely different society. They don't quite understand why we have these peace movements or have to tolerate them.
How long will the talks go on? Rowney said, the Soviets like to play chess to take their time. Americans, he said, like to play Pac-Man to put their quarters in the machine and get instant results. But, said Rowney, arms negotiations are not like that. John Cochran, NBC News, Geneva.
In the coming days, we'll be hearing a lot more about General Rowney, President Reagan's chief negotiator at these START talks. And as John Chancellor explains in his commentary tonight, General Rowney has some strong feelings on this issue. John?
One of life's little ironies is that while the president is abiding by the terms of the never-ratified SALT II treaty with the Soviets, he has sent an outspoken opponent of the treaty to Geneva to head the American side in the arms talks. General Rowney, seen here at the White House last week, is a lieutenant general, U.S. Army retired, a soldier and a scholar. Combat commands in World War II and Korea, 2 master's degrees from Yale, a Ph.D. in international relations from American University in Washington. Rowney came to the attention of Ronald Reagan's presidential campaign team in 1979 because he did something which Reagan's people liked. When Reagan became president, he gave Rowney a job. Here's what Rowney did, which pleased Mr. Reagan. Rowney had spent almost 7 years as the representative of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the SALT talks. But less than 1 week before Jimmy Carter and Leonid Brezhnev were to sign the SALT II treaty, Rowney quit, filed for retirement, saying SALT II was a faulty treaty. Ronald Reagan had been saying the same thing. Treaty supporters were furious, one of them being Edmund Muskie, who berated Rowney, but Rowney's insistence that the SALT II treaty was not in the interest of the United States was of great help to opponents of the treaty. Critics of the administration say the anti-nuclear war movements here and in Western Europe forced Mr. Reagan into these arms talks. If that is true, the president has balanced that liberal move by naming one of the hardest of the hardliners to present his tough new proposals to the Soviets.
General Bonaparte, you say an army travels on its stomach?
And its wallet.
Carry lots of cash, huh?
Oh, madness. We carry Bank America traveler's checks.
Bank America traveler's checks?
Bank America, accepted in 160 countries. Sure beats charging all the time.
And if you lose them?
We never lose. Besides, they are refundable in 40,000 places worldwide, in case you get caught short.
Bank America traveler's checks.
Darn, my sink trap's clogged.
Do you know what's clogging it?
Who knows what's down there? Grease, food, hair.
Better use Crystal Drano, the all-purpose drain opener.
Isn't liquid plumber's all-purpose?
No, it may not work on tough grease clogs.
Will Drano?
Yes, Drano works on grease and food and hair.
Wow, I never know what the clog is, so I'll use all-purpose Drano.
Drano, the all-purpose drain opener.
Polaroid's new 600-speed color print film is much faster than anyone else's. And now we have 4 great cameras that use it. These and that.
What are these?
The sun cameras. Each has a piece of the sun and a light mixer, so you can get 10 great shots out of 10.
And that?
The new Amigo, the lowest price way to take 600-speed pictures, and the new Flatter Flash to make you look good. Now what?
Smile so they'll know you're through.
Hi, Mom.
See what a difference it makes.
For the past 2 years, the government has been faced with an influx of illegal aliens from Haiti, refugees seeking political and economic asylum. A year ago, the U.S. adopted a policy that resulted in thousands being held in detention camps. Today in Miami, a federal judge ordered a plan for their release. Shauna Singletary reports.
There are almost 2,000 Haitians in 5 detention facilities around the country, including the Chrome Avenue Center in Miami. Some have been held here more than a year. In today's ruling, U.S. District Judge Eugene Spellman outlined a detailed plan for the Haitians' release. The plan requires that each Haitian have 2 government-approved sponsors. The Haitians will report in weekly. The Immigration and Naturalization Service will get full identification of the Haitians and give them papers permitting them to work. Lawyers for the Haitians were pleased with today's ruling.
These Haitians have suffered that illegal and discriminatory incarceration long enough, and we're thankful that the federal court has heard their plea.
The government's lawyer maintained it had been correct in its policy of detaining the Haitians.
The United States government will take whatever action it deems appropriate to enforce that policy. We will not retreat. We will control the borders.
The government has indicated it will file an appeal in the next 10 days, and it will be 10 days at the earliest before any Haitians are freed. Shauna Singletary, NBC News, Miami.
The 1982 elections are still 5 months away, but political action committees set up by corporate, labor, and special interest groups have already contributed nearly $23 million to the candidates running for Congress. The biggest giver was the American Medical Association, followed by the realtors, the machinists, and the bankers. Tom?
The Georgia Supreme Court ruled today that a 22-year-old white woman is a fit mother for her 3-year-old white son, as well as her racially mixed daughter. A lower court had transferred custody of the son to grandparents because his mother also had that daughter out of wedlock by a black man. A small town in east central Colorado is divided over the issue of sex education in public schools, an issue that has divided a good many American communities. But in Security, Colorado, this controversy has taken a nasty turn. More from Norma Quarles.
Security, Colorado was once a peaceful community, but now the town is divided over what children should be taught about sex and which textbooks should be used in the schools. Gina Lee belongs to a newly formed parents organization. She's marking what she feels are objectionable passages in a textbook. She and other parents want the books removed.
I believe that what is being taught is not to the family's best interest.
Chris Shelton has been the target of violent attacks ever since she spoke out against censorship at a public meeting. Windows in her home have been broken, and she's been hit with a brick. She believes one man is responsible.
I can't take much more. We got to get something done. I'm ready to kill him.
The Shelton home is under 24-hour police protection. Her neighbors have even patrolled with sticks and baseball bats to find the attacker. But Chris Shelton says she will not waver in her stand against censorship.
I've got kids in this district, and I've got a stake in this district.
John Burnett, a spokesman for the parents' organization Mrs. Shelton opposes, says his group condemns the violence.
We deplore it, and we hope that it stops and hope that they catch and punish whoever's doing that.
The dispute over what should be taught has broken up friendships among children and adults.
This issue has showed me who my true friends are.
Police expect to solve this case and arrest those responsible for the violence. But people in this community recognize that the censorship dispute will be harder to resolve. Norma Quarles, NBC News, Security, Colorado.
Crib death, when babies die suddenly and mysteriously, often in their cribs, kills more infants in the United States than any other disease. Now, scientists gathered in Baltimore to review the problem say mothers who smoke during pregnancy could make their babies more susceptible to crib death. One doctor said that there are 4,000 components in cigarette smoke that could damage the fetal brain.
Why do you use Preparation H?
Based on the way it treats me, I love it. It's a good friend. Preparation H relieves the swelling, it relieves the itching, relieves the pain. I can relate to my family. I can go to work and feel productive again.
That's right. Preparation H often gives temporary relief from pain and itch flare-ups, even helps shrink swelling of inflamed hemorrhoidal tissues.
It's a good friend.
Preparation H relieves pain and itch, even helps shrink swelling.
An Old Spice man always gets a warm welcome wherever he lands. Because Old Spice is the clean, fresh, masculine scent so many women love. So even if you love only one woman, you'll love Old Spice. The man scent so many women love.
Open wide.
Oh, wait a minute, Doctor.
What's wrong, Joan?
You need the breath deodorant.
Sorry. Must have been the onion salad dressing.
Clarette's will take care of that.
Clarette's?
Clarette's is the breath deodorant. It'll freshen your breath fast. Only Clarette's has Actazol and helps your mouth's own freshening power eliminate bad breath. The breath deodorant costs a little more, but it's worth it. Ready, doctor?
For fresh breath fast, Clarette's, the breath deodorant.
In Dayton, Ohio, home of the Wright brothers, another inventor is giving new hope to people who don't necessarily care whether they fly. They just like to walk again. And they may, thanks to a computer which does what the spinal cord cannot. Here's Jim Cummins.
Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio has made it easy for handicapped students like Jeff Hausch to get around. Hausch was paralyzed from the neck down in an accident 6 years ago. The doctors told him he'd never be able to use his legs again.
Suicide was on my mind. That's all I didn't want. I didn't want to live in a chair.
These days, Jeff Hausch doesn't have time to contemplate suicide. He's too busy pedaling a bicycle. The spinal injury that cut off electrical impulses from the brain has not healed, but computer equipment bought at a neighborhood stereo shop by Dr. Gerald Petrovsky has restored some semblance of life to these legs. The computer relays instructions from the brain through electrodes attached to Hausch.
What we're developing is really kind of an electronic bandage. It's something that bypasses the broken damage in the spinal cord. And what it'll mean is not a cure for spinal injury, but for many people who are paralyzed eventually, it'll give them a means of being able to move their arms and legs and walk again.
Hausch was the first to ride Petrovsky's special bicycle.
I was really excited. And then for a whole week, I was just grinning ear to ear and just shaking my head. I couldn't believe it. I don't know how he's doing it, but I expect to. The way it's going now, I think it will be walking again.
That's why other handicapped students like Nanette Davis volunteered to be part of this experiment.
I haven't rode a bicycle for 4 years. It was fun. I wanted to do it longer than I was on there. It gave me new hope, but it's kind of a cautious hope.
Dr. Petrovsky and his associates need about $100,000 a year to keep their project going, but they say their research has been slowed down by cutbacks in federal funding and bureaucratic red tape. So much of the research money has been raised by the Spinal Cord Society and its president, Charles Carson.
If you can get these people to move around and you can reverse atrophy with the material and the hardware he's got already, that's a fabulous piece of progress alone.
Dr. Petrovsky says the computers can be reduced to the size of pocket calculators. He hopes that will enable Jeff Hausch and the other handicapped students here to walk to their classes soon. Jim Cummins, NBC News, Dayton, Ohio.
That's Nightly News for this Tuesday night. I'm Tom Brokaw in New York.
And I'm Roger Mudd in Washington. Good night from all of us at NBC News.
Tomorrow morning on Today, Phyllis Schlafly is interviewed about the defeat of the Equal Rights Amendment and a look at the American coverage of the war in Lebanon.